Listen carefully, because what you're about to hear is not for everyone. This message found you, not by accident, not by chance, but because something inside you has already begun to wake up. You feel it, don't you? That strange pull, that pressure in your chest, that feeling like your life is not normal anymore, like something unseen is watching you, testing you, pushing you to the edge. And now everything around you is collapsing. People leaving, plans failing, doors closing, opportunities disappearing. It feels like your entire world is being erased. And you've been asking yourself, why is this happening to me? But what if I told you, this is not destruction, this is selection? Because you made God cancel everything. Not with your words, but with your energy, your attitude, your refusal to stay small. You see, most people live their entire lives asleep. They follow the same patterns, think the same thoughts, fear the same fears. But you started questioning. You started resisting. You started saying no to things that no longer aligned with your soul. And the moment you did that, everything changed. Because the universe doesn't reward comfort. It responds to alignment. And when you stepped out of alignment with your old life had to collapse. That's why things feel chaotic. That's why nothing is working the way it used to. Because what used to work was never meant to last. You were outgrowing it. And growth is never comfortable. Let me tell you something most people will never understand. When you are chosen, you don't get blessings first. You get breakdowns. You don't get clarity first. You get confusion. You don't get support first. You get isolation. Because before you can receive your new life, your old identity has to die. And that death feels like everything is being taken away. Friends, relationships, money, confidence, even your sense of self. You start feeling lost, disconnected, alone. But that's not punishment. That's preparation. Because you cannot step into a higher version of yourself while holding on to a lower version of your life. So everything that doesn't match your future has to be removed. And yes, it hurts. It feels unfair. It feels like you're being targeted. But listen to me very carefully. You're not being attacked. You're being upgraded. Every delay you faced, every rejection you experienced, every moment you felt like giving up, it was all part of the process. Because the path of the chosen one is not easy. It's lonely, it's intense, it's brutal, but it's also powerful beyond imagination. Because while others are being entertained, you are being transformed. While others are distracted, you are being disciplined. While others are comfortable, you are being called higher. And that calling comes with a cost. You can't carry everyone with you. You can't keep your old habits. You can't stay the same. That's why people started disappearing from your life. That's why certain relationships suddenly broke. That's why you started feeling disconnected from things you once loved. Because your soul is evolving faster than your environment. And when that happens, separation is inevitable. But here's the part nobody tells you. The more you resist this process, the harder it becomes. Because you keep trying to hold on to what's already leaving. You keep trying to fix what's already broken. You keep trying to go back to a version of yourself that no longer exists. And that creates suffering. But the moment you let go, the moment you accept that everything falling apart is actually making space, that's when everything shifts. Because now you're no longer fighting the process, you're flowing with it. And that's when your power returns. That's when clarity begins to form. That's when you start seeing things differently. You start realizing that the same things you cried about were the things that saved you. That rejection, it redirected you. That loss, it protected you. That failure, it strengthened you. And suddenly, you're not the same person anymore. You're stronger, sharper, more aware, more focused, more dangerous in the best way possible. Because now, you don't seek validation. You don't chase approval. You don't fear being alone. You've already been through the worst and survived. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. Not because you're special, but because you endured what others couldn't. And instead of breaking, you started transforming. But don't get comfortable yet, because this journey is far from over. In fact, this is just the beginning. Because once you start awakening, there's no going back. You begin to see through people, through lies, through illusions. You start noticing patterns others ignore. You start feeling energies others don't understand. And that can be overwhelming, sometimes even terrifying, because now you can't pretend anymore. You can't live blindly anymore. You can't settle anymore. And that level of awareness comes with responsibility. You have to choose differently, think differently, act differently, because you know better. And knowing better means you can't go back to your old life, even if you wanted to. That's why you feel stuck sometimes, like you're in between two worlds, not who you used to be, but not fully who you're becoming yet. That space is the hardest part, because it's uncertain, it's uncomfortable, it's lonely, but it's also necessary, because that's where your real transformation happens. In the silence, in the confusion, in the waiting. That's where you're being rebuilt, piece by piece, stronger than before. And here's something you need to understand. The delay is not denial. Just because things are not happening right now doesn't mean they won't happen. It means you're still being prepared. Because what's coming into your life requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And that version is being created right now, through every challenge, every setback, every moment of doubt. You're being shaped, refined, tested, not to break you, but to build you. So when your moment comes, you're ready. Because if you got everything you wanted earlier, you would have lost it. You weren't ready then. But now, you're becoming someone who can handle it, someone who can sustain it, someone who won't self-sabotage it. And that's why the process is taking time, because it's not just about getting what you want, it's about becoming who you need to be to keep it. So stop rushing, stop comparing, stop doubting. Your journey is different, your path is unique, and your timing is perfect, even if it doesn't feel like it. Because everything that's happening right now is aligning you with your true purpose. Even the pain, even the confusion, even the chaos, it's all part of it. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because once you shift that question, everything changes. You stop being a victim and start becoming powerful. You stop resisting and start evolving. And that's when your life begins to transform. Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually, silently, powerfully. Until one day you look back and realize you're not the same person anymore. You're stronger than you ever imagined, wiser than you ever thought possible, and more aligned than you've ever been. And suddenly, everything makes sense. Why things ended, why people left, why plans failed, why you had to go through all that pain. Because it led you here, to this version of yourself, the real you, the awakened you, the chosen one. And now there's only one question left. Are you ready to fully step into who you were meant to be? Because the moment you say yes, everything will change again. But this time, not by force, not through loss, but through alignment, through power, through purpose. So don't be afraid of what's falling apart. Be excited for what's coming together. Because you didn't lose everything. You cleared space. And now, something greater is coming. Something bigger, something meant for you. And when it arrives, you'll understand why everything had to happen this way. Until then, keep going, stay strong. And remember, you didn't get this far just to stop now. You thought the storm was over, but this next phase, this is where you are truly tested. Because now, it's not about what you lost, it's about what you're becoming. And that transformation demands everything from you. Your patience, your discipline, your mindset, your faith, everything. This is the phase where distractions will come back. Old habits will try to pull you in. People from your past will suddenly reappear, acting like nothing ever happened, smiling, talking, trying to reconnect. But this time, you see through it, because you're not the same person anymore. You've evolved, and evolution comes with a price. You outgrow what once felt like home. That's why it feels uncomfortable. That's why sometimes you feel like you don't belong anywhere, because you're not meant to fit in anymore. You're meant to stand apart, and that scares people. Your silence scares them, your focus scares them, your growth scares them, because it reflects everything they're not willing to become. So don't be surprised when they misunderstand you, when they call you different, when they say you've changed, because you have, and that change is your power. But here's the real challenge. Can you stay consistent even when no one is watching? Can you stay disciplined even when you feel tired? Can you keep going even when results are not visible yet? Because this phase is not about motivation, it's about identity. Who are you when things are quiet? Who are you when nobody's clapping for you? Who are you when it's just you and your thoughts? That answer defines your future. Because success is not built in front of people. It's built in silence, in early mornings and late nights, in moments when quitting feels easier than continuing. That's where your real power is created. And most people, they fail here. Not because they're weak, but because they get comfortable again. They settle, they go back to what's easy. But you can't afford that, not anymore. Because you've already seen too much. You've already come too far. Going back now would destroy you more than moving forward ever could. So you have to decide, right now, are you going to become the person your future requires, or fall back into the person your past is begging you to be? Because both paths are still open, but only one leads to your purpose. Only one leads to the life you've been feeling inside your soul. And deep down, you already know the answer. That's why you feel this fire. That's why you can't settle. That's why normal life feels empty to you. Because you weren't built for average. You were built for impact. But impact requires sacrifice. It requires focus. It requires saying no to things that feel good now for something greater later. And that's not easy. That's why so few people make it. But you're not most people. You've already proven that by surviving everything that tried to break you, by standing back up when it would have been easier to stay down, by continuing even when you had no reason to. That's strength. That's resilience. That's what makes you different. And now, it's time to use it. No more waiting, no more doubting, no more overthinking. This is your moment to lock in, to focus, to become unstoppable. Because everything you went through was not just pain, it was training. Training for this exact moment. And now that you're here, there's only one thing left to do. Execute. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but consistently. Because consistency beats talent, beats luck, beats everything. So show up every single day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that's what separates you from everyone else. And one day, very soon, all of this will make sense. All the struggle, all the pain, all the waiting, it will turn into power, into results, into a life that once felt impossible. And when that day comes, you won't just be proud, you'll be unstoppable. So keep going, because now there's no turning back. Because this is where most people break. Not at the beginning, not during the chaos, but right here, when things start getting quiet, when the noise disappears, when the drama fades, when the pain is no longer loud, and all that's left is you, your thoughts, your discipline, your truth. This silence, it's dangerous because it will either build you or expose you. No distractions, no excuses, no one to blame, just you facing yourself. And that's something most people avoid their entire lives. But you don't have that option anymore because you've already stepped too far. You've already seen too much. You've already awakened. So now you either rise or you collapse back into a life that no longer fits you. And trust me, going back will hurt more than moving forward ever will. Because once you know your potential, settling becomes torture. That's why you feel restless. That's why peace sometimes feels uncomfortable. Because you're not used to stillness. You're used to chaos. You're used to survival mode, always fighting, always reacting, always dealing with something. But now, you're being called into control, into awareness, into mastery. And mastery requires stillness. It requires focus. It requires you to sit with yourself without running, without escaping, without numbing the discomfort. Because in that silence, you start hearing things clearly. Your intuition gets louder, your vision becomes sharper, your purpose becomes undeniable. And that's when everything changes. Not outside, but inside. And once your inner world shifts, your outer world has no choice but to follow. But here's the truth nobody tells you. This level comes with isolation. Not because you're being punished, but because you're being protected. Because not everyone can understand this version of you. Not everyone can handle your mindset. Not everyone deserves your energy. So the circle gets smaller. The conversations get deeper. The connections get rarer. And yes, it gets lonely. But that loneliness, it's not emptiness. It's space. Space for growth. Space for clarity. Space for something real. Because fake connections can't survive where you're going. Distractions can't exist at your level. Weak mindsets can't keep up with your focus. So they fall away naturally. And what's left is alignment with yourself, with your purpose, with your path. But don't get it twisted. This is also where discipline becomes non-negotiable. Because now, no one is pushing you. No one is watching you. No one is telling you what to do. So if you don't push yourself, you stop growing. And that's the trap. Because comfort will try to sneak back in. It will whisper, "You've done enough. Take it easy. You deserve a break." And yes, rest is important. But don't confuse rest with regression. Because the moment you slow down too much, the old version of you starts creeping back in. And that version, it's waiting. Waiting for one weak moment, one bad decision, one moment of doubt to take control again. So you have to stay alert, stay focused, stay locked in. Not out of fear, but out of awareness. Because now you know what's at stake. Your future, your purpose, your potential, everything you've been working toward can either be built or destroyed by your daily choices. That's how powerful you are now. That's how serious this level is. So don't play small, don't hesitate, don't doubt yourself, because you didn't come this far to stop at the edge of your breakthrough. You're closer than you think, closer than you've ever been. But the final test is always the hardest, because it's not testing your strength anymore. It's testing your consistency, your commitment, your identity. Are you really who you say you are? Or were you just motivated for a moment? This is where you prove it, not to others, but to yourself. Because once you prove it to yourself, nothing can shake you, nothing can stop you, nothing can break you. And that's when you become dangerous. Not in a negative way, but in a powerful, unstoppable way. Because now you move with purpose, you think with clarity, you act with intention, and everything you do starts aligning with your higher self. That's when results become inevitable. That's when opportunities start appearing. That's when things finally begin to flow. Not because you got lucky, but because you became ready. So stay focused, stay disciplined, stay true to yourself, because what's coming next is everything you've been preparing for. And when it arrives, you won't need validation, you won't need approval, you won't need permission, because you'll know you earned it. Every second, every struggle. And now, you're standing at a point most people never reach, not because they can't, but because they quit right before this moment, right before the shift, right before everything starts making sense. And this is where it gets dangerous again, because success doesn't just test your strength, it tests your character. You've already proven you can survive pain. You've already proven you can handle loss. But now the question is, can you handle power? Can you handle growth? Can you handle becoming everything you once dreamed of? Because let me tell you something real. A lot of people don't fail because life is hard. They fail because when life finally gets better, they lose themselves. They get distracted. They get comfortable. They forget what it took to get there. And slowly, they fall back. Not all at once, but piece by piece, habit by habit, decision by decision. Until one day, they wake up and realize they're back where they started. You can't let that happen. Not after everything you've been through, not after everything you've sacrificed, because your journey was not normal. The pain you felt was not random. The isolation you experienced was not meaningless. It was all shaping you into someone rare, someone focused, someone disciplined, someone who doesn't break under pressure. And now, you're entering a phase where things will start opening up. Opportunities, connections, money, respect. It will come, but not all at once and not without another test. Because every level has its own challenges. And this level, it's about balance. Staying grounded while rising higher. Staying disciplined while gaining freedom. Staying focused while everything around you is trying to distract you again. Because now the distractions won't look like problems. They'll look like rewards, easy money, fake support, temporary pleasure, things that feel good but slowly pull you away from your purpose. That's why you need to stay sharp, stay aware, stay in control. Because not everything that comes into your life is meant to stay, and not everything that feels good is good for you. You've already learned this the hard way, so don't forget it now. Because this is where your mindset matters more than ever. This is where discipline becomes your identity, not something you do, but something you are. Because motivation fades, feelings change, but identity, that stays. So who are you now? Are you still that person who doubts everything, who hesitates, who overthinks? Or have you become someone who moves with certainty, who takes action, who trusts the process? Because your future depends on that answer. And deep down, you already know who you are becoming. You feel it in your decisions, in your habits, in the way you think now. You're not the same. You don't react the same. You don't chase the same things. You don't tolerate the same energy. That's growth, real growth. Not the kind people post online, but the kind that changes your life, the kind that builds you from the inside out. And now, you're stepping into alignment, slowly, powerfully, unstoppably. And the best part? You don't need to force it anymore, because when you're aligned, things flow. Not perfectly, not without challenges, but with purpose, with direction, with meaning. And that changes everything, because now you're not just moving, you're moving with intention. Every step has a reason. Every decision has clarity. Every action has power behind it. And that's when your life transforms, not because of luck, but because of alignment. Because you finally stopped fighting who you are and started becoming who you were meant to be. But listen carefully, because this next truth is important. You will still have bad days. You will still feel doubt sometimes. You will face challenges. But the difference now is they won't control you. They won't break you. They won't stop you. Because you've built something stronger inside yourself. Resilience, awareness, control. And that's what makes you unstoppable. Not perfection, but consistency. Not motivation, but discipline. Not luck, but focus. So when things get hard again, and they will, you won't panic. You won't fall apart. You'll adjust. You'll adapt. You'll keep moving. Because that's who you are now. And that identity is your greatest power. So step fully into it. Own it. Live it. Because everything you've been through was preparing you for this version of yourself. The version that doesn't quit, the version that doesn't settle, the version that doesn't go back. Only forward, always forward, no matter what. And if you can hold on to that, if you can stay locked into that mindset, then what's coming next won't just change your life, it will redefine it. Because you're not just building success anymore, you're building legacy, something bigger than you, something that lasts, something that proves that everything you went through was worth it. So don't slow down now, don't lose focus now, because this is where everything starts to multiply. Your effort, your results, your impact, everything. And soon, very soon, you won't recognize your old life anymore, because you'll be living a reality that once felt impossible. And when that moment comes, you'll realize one thing. You didn't just survive the process, you mastered it. And that is what makes you truly unstoppable. And now, this is the part no one prepares you for. Not the struggle, not the pain, not the isolation, but the moment when everything finally starts working. Because it will. Slowly at first, then all at once. Doors that were once closed start opening. People who ignored you start noticing. Opportunities you prayed for start appearing in front of you. And for a second, it feels unreal, like you're dreaming, like this can't actually be your life. But this is what you were being prepared for. And here's where you need to be careful, because this phase can either elevate you forever or destroy everything you built. Because now, ego will try to enter. That voice will whisper, look how far you've come. You're better than them. You don't need to try as hard anymore. And if you listen to it, you lose. Not immediately, but slowly. Because ego kills discipline. Ego kills growth. Ego makes you forget the struggle that built you. So stay humble. Not weak, humble. There's a difference. Weakness is doubting yourself. Humility is understanding that you're still growing, still learning, still evolving, no matter how far you go. Because the moment you think you've made it, you stop becoming. And you didn't come this far to stop now. You came this far to expand, to go beyond limits, to become something rare. So don't shrink yourself just because things are getting better. Step up even more. Raise your standards, raise your discipline, raise your focus. Because with more growth comes more responsibility. Now people are watching you, whether you realize it or not. Your actions, your mindset, your energy, it influences others. And that's power. But power without control becomes destruction. So stay in control of your thoughts, of your emotions, of your actions. Because one wrong move, one moment of carelessness can cost you everything you worked for. Not because you're weak, but because the higher you go, the smaller the margin for error becomes. That's the truth. But don't let that scare you. Let it sharpen you. Let it focus you. Because you're not the same person who started this journey. You're wiser now, stronger now, more aware now. You've learned from every mistake, every failure, every setback. So trust yourself, trust your growth, trust your discipline, because that's what got you here, and that's what will take you further. But here's the most important part of this phase. Don't lose your purpose. It's easy to get caught up in results, money, recognition, success, but none of that matters if you forget why you started. If you lose your vision, you lose everything. Because purpose is what keeps you grounded. It's what keeps you focused when distractions appear. It's what keeps you moving when things get hard again. And they will. Because no level is free from challenges. Every level has new problems, new tests, new obstacles. But now, you don't see them as problems anymore. You see them as part of the process, as part of the growth. And that mindset, that shift, is what separates you from everyone else. Because while others complain, you adapt. While others quit, you continue. While others fear, you move forward anyway. That's what makes you unstoppable. Not because life is easy, but because you've become someone who can handle anything. And that's rare, very rare. So protect that mindset, guard it, strengthen it, because it's your greatest asset. More valuable than money, more powerful than talent, more important than anything else. Because with the right mindset, you can rebuild anything, achieve anything, become anything. And you've already proven that. You've already come this far. From confusion to clarity, from weakness to strength, from doubt to belief. That transformation is everything. And now, you're entering a phase where things won't just grow, they will multiply. Your efforts will start paying off faster. Your results will start compounding. Your life will start shifting rapidly. And it will feel overwhelming at times. But don't panic. Don't slow down. Stay grounded. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Because this momentum is something most people never experience. And once you have it, you protect it at all costs. Because momentum is what turns effort into success. It's what turns vision into reality. It's what turns you into everything you were meant to be. So don't lose it. Don't waste it. Don't take it for granted. Because this is your moment. The moment everything starts aligning. The moment everything starts making sense. The moment your life truly begins. So step into it, fully, fearlessly, without hesitation. Because you didn't come this far to play small now. You came this far to become unstoppable. And now,